Welcome to Podcasters Today. I am your host, Dennis Postman. Today I'm here with Strider. Strider, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, and thanks for having me on.
Well, I just want you to first let everybody know a little bit about your background and how long you've been in podcasting.
Oh, the two different things. I'm an author, which brought me to where I am. I've written books, mostly young adult action adventure, sci-fi, very genre crossing, alien contact, and that's all one story. So put all those genres together and you call it genre crossing. The Adventures of Ronan Stone, and it's a trilogy at the moment. And I'm writing a trilogy of trilogies, basically in the same world building. But that brought me into podcasting. I was asked by LA Times Festival of Books to come and talk with them in an interview. And I said, gosh, I'd love to go down there, except I'm supposed to be up in Washington State that particular day doing a talk for the SIBA Awards, Chanticleer International Book Awards. And I can't be both places at the same time.
Right.
So they said, no problem at all. We'll just Zoom in. I think we use Zoom at that point, and we'll do an interview, and they put it up on the big screen all day, which was totally awesome. I had never done an interview at all, let alone through that type of medium. And we went through, it did absolutely great. I had contacts from all over the country to connect with me. And I said, you know what? If they can do that, I can do that. I'm just one of those kind of people. I just
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How hard could it be, right?
12 businesses in my life. And so I'm not too afraid of starting something again. Not doing it right is important to me. So
right.
But it was a rough start. It was a rough start, man. I didn't know anything, had no equipment, and I figured it out. And after 4 years, we do a pretty professional show now.
That's all. That's awesome. And I love it. The funny thing is, it's so like a moment of, yes, I would love to do an interview. I would love to go speak at this event. And then you're disappointed that, wait, I can't be in two places at once. It comes full circle into being an interview that then ends up getting you into podcasting. It's funny how it all, like connecting the dots, how things work sometimes.
Yep. So much so. Yeah. And now I do interviews at conferences with other authors to bring their books out there, and for the conference themselves, for advertising. And I love it. How's that?
That's great. How many years have you done it, first of all, Strider?
4 years. We're just finishing our fourth year here. Yeah.
Wow. And how many episodes did you say?
176 as of last week.
That's amazing. Good for you. Congratulations on that. That's a great number. That's wow. Tell me,
it's been an uphill climb. I mean, steep. Like I had no knowledge of this kind of thing ahead of time. So
I always tell people, like, every time somebody's excited about getting started or nervous about getting started, they're like, well, you've got to have this, you've got to have this. I said, okay, go back to 2019. I need you to go to our television show. Go back to 2019. I need you to look at my first show. And then go back, and then you go like to 2020, look at one, then like 2021, look at, and like go up the stream. It doesn't start. It's not pretty in the beginning.
Oh man, it is not pretty.
It takes a little bit to get. So tell us some of your horror stories of podcasting.
Oh well, luckily when we first started, all of those authors when we first started and were willing to jump in there, I've had them on the show afterwards to say, okay, we've done better. How about you come in now again? Let's redo these a little better, which makes sense. And some of the horror stories. Well, we do. I tell you, one of the things Author in the Headlights does is, since I started with nothing, I want to make sure other authors that have not got a good set yet have a chance to get their book out there for people to see. So Author in the Headlights is for readers to find their next great read, but it's also for authors, so we can get those names out there for the up and coming. And we go from people that haven't even gotten a book yet. They're still working on it, particularly at conferences and things, which is why they're there, all the way up through big name authors. I mean, we're talking about the multi-million sales authors, David Baldacci, Steve Barry, Robert Dugani, Lisa Gardner. She's going to be on again next week.
Oh my God.
These big names that have millions and millions of copies sold, but they still need to be seen.
Yes.
Advertising doesn't stop just because you've got a first book out there and you got to it's got to keep going. And so we feel that need. Agents now get a hold of me to have their authors go on our show because we're growing. We are growing. We're not big yet, but we are growing. And that's just even more fun.
Yeah. What would you say is the reason for your constant growth? What would you say what do you attribute that to?
I don't give up.
I was going to say consistency and like not
consistency.
Giving up.
Yeah.
That's
and
what this game is. Yeah.
I want to keep getting better.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right. That's always been my goal. Like I said, I've had 12 businesses. None of them have been huge. They've all been small business like this, small business. But if I want to do something, I figure out how to do it and go ahead and do it. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right.
I love that.
And so I'm still here. Nobody's fired me, luckily, because I'm the one in charge.
That's a good way. That's a good way to make sure you don't fire yourself. And
we just keep spreading out. I mean, growth is kind of like that. You start out with one book and one author, and now Author in the Headlights is sponsored by Durham Publishing, which, by the way, is me.
That's awesome.
Those are my books. But then it has in the webpage, it's got Author in the Headlights bookstore. So the authors that I interview, all of their books go on to the Author in the Headlights bookstore, and then they're sold, linked to where they're sold from there. We don't sell them. We link to wherever people want to buy them from, and they're sold from there. But the author doesn't care where, right? They want their books seen and shown. So they get to go to the interview, then their books get on the bookstore, and those links go to where they're sold, and those authors hopefully get clicks and sales from those books. Wow. And it's something that they were given because I enjoy doing it, I guess. It's a lot of time and effort, but to me, it's worth it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, and I looked at your website and your books, and your covers are amazing. And when was your first book that you actually did? When did you first write your first book?
My first book?
Yeah.
I think it was 2018, 2019, right there, just before COVID. Because, of course, that was one of those things. In fact, I went to a conference where there were 6 people because everybody sat in different corners, and we all clapped because it was an online. Online was hard, was brand new back then. Zoom was like, to me, nothing. I'd never been on Zoom before. What was that?
Yeah.
You know, and all those things. Quick. We have grown so much, so fast. Yes, it was a terrible thing. You know, with so many deaths and so many things that affected the country, but we also grew from it. And that's so natural in the world, in our world.
And critical. And you mentioned earlier when we were speaking, now you interview authors from everywhere, right?
Everywhere. Yeah. Authors from Australia, from France, UK, Canada, of course, America here, all over the world. And some I connect with, some connect with me, say, hey, I got a book out there. And, oh, cool, let's find a place. Some from agents that get a hold of me because they have big authors or small authors, first-time authors, people that don't even have books, to the big names. We use them all. We love to show people out there where people are and what they're doing.
That's amazing. I love that you're doing that for authors. That we all need is exposure, and it's an ever-changing, climate that we're in when it comes to being an author. And also the thing about being an author and the ever-changing climate is keeping up. And you still, like you mentioned, you always need the eyeballs. Like you constantly are always going to need new people to see. People's attention spans different, so you got to get in different places. And so it's I give you a lot of credit for doing that.
It doesn't matter how big your brand is, you still need advertising. Do you see Pepsi commercials anywhere? Coke, because that still needs to be brought in front of people's attention. Oh yeah, that's what I want. That's the book I need. That's the author. That's the genre I like to read. I'll try that. So we give them a place to connect with those. And it's working. It is working. Like I said, we have 900 books on our bookstore now, and those are from authors that we've interviewed. So that tells you there's some work there, and people do click to those and go to wherever they're sold. I love it. It's fun to help other people. I enjoy that.
That's a good domino effect once it starts rolling, and once you start, getting some traction. It takes a long time to get there, especially starting a podcast. But same thing with writing, right? The first chapter, and then you get,
Yeah, my first book, which unfortunately is the first book of the series, and that was the first one written that was published, and it is not as good as the next books, because we learn as we go, right?
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect. Well, we've learned that perfect practice makes perfect, which is why we keep going to things like conferences so we can learn more, so we can better our skill. And we definitely push that. We try to teach as well as show people's books and, oh, I'm a writer, here's my book. But we also give those tips of the trade. Okay, what made this work? What did you find that really made your writing grow, and those kind of things that we speak about.
I love that you mentioned everything that you just said. So if I can rewind it a little bit, tell me a little bit, because obviously you own your own publishing company, so you publish it yourself. Tell me a little bit about how it was the first time you published and all of the different things you went through and what it was like.
Well, again, I always start at the bottom.
Yeah, no, I did it. That's how I did it too.
Start at the bottom.
I did it too, Strider. So that's why I'm asking.
Well, at the basis of that, I used to own a drive-through espresso, but in order to know what was happening and do it, I had to learn how to make coffee. So I went to a coffee roaster and I learned how to do that correctly, what the roasting was, what the coffee was. Then I learned how to be a barista and do that. I didn't plan on being a barista.
Yeah.
And in fact, I can't remember what somebody ordered at the window long enough to turn around and make it without turning back around and go, God, what was that? What was that? But I had to learn from the bottom, right? You learn from the bottom and you work your way up until actually we were doing great business, hundreds of customers a day. So that was, one of my businesses, but that's where you have to start in writing. My wife was actually getting her master's degree and she had to write her, ending thesis. And so she was putting it together and said, would you read through this and fix it for me? Because you write way better than I do. And I'd not written, since college. Well, I still didn't go to college, but constant education. You never learn enough. So I went through that and she said, why don't you sit down and write something? I said, like what? It doesn't matter. Why don't you just write something, see what happens? And that's sort of my first book. And my first manuscript, because it's not published, award winner, by the way, it has won an award as a manuscript and has never been published. I have 2 of those. Then I started setting down, because I wrote those, then it kind of stretched me into something else and that linked to something else. And that's when I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I don't have time to find an agent. That was really my, so I'll just see what happens. And so I had to learn how to publish. And by the way, I went and did an online school on how to be a publisher. I got a degree in publishing, and which doesn't mean that I go out and print books.
Right.
It means that I know what it takes to get my book published and have done so come on, Strider, pull it together. See why I edit my stuff so well?
I mean,
I published it on Ingram Spark and I published it on Amazon, and those links go out. So now it's pretty wide and do that. But I had to learn all that stuff. We don't know that without learning.
Yeah.
And it is a long growing process. And I learned how to write better. My books got better. They're going, and I write pretty good, by the way.
No, I was
even
even hearing about your first book. I'm excited. Like work on the trailer and work on it.
Yeah, how do you go from a kid in the Old West and work up into a gas lamp steampunk era development? Believe it or not, this kid put a whale's bladder on a backpack and filled it with steam and rose off the ground, and he learned how to build an airship. Woo-hoo. Okay, now that's book 2. That's in Luna. And you don't get to that until you've gone through this kid growing out of an old West environment where his mom died when he was 13 and he took over. And okay, here's the spoiler. It's called Stone. The Adventures of Ronan Stone. Well, Stone is an alien intelligence. He picks up a rock out of a river, a shiny rock that he sticks in his pocket. And a couple years later, he starts hearing something in his brain and he figures he's going crazy. But this intelligence took that much time to learn his energy patterns and wavelengths to connect him with motion and action and things. To get a stone, a rock, a mineral, a crystalline entity doesn't do those things. But because it was a crystalline entity, it had the brain capacity to do that. And it all works.
Yeah.
It works. It turns out that, well, I'm not going to tell you any more of the story.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Pick up the book. Yeah.
This intelligence teaches this kid physics and math and science, and it develops into, and he becomes an agent for the OPR, and that's another story. And you'll have to read the books.
Yeah, I love it. I love that because people always say, well, everybody's got a book in them. And I'm here to tell you that once you've written one book, and you probably agree with me on this, there's no way, you're not stopping. You can't. Your brain, it's something that clicks in your head, and it doesn't stop. I
would write far more, except that I'm doing Author in the Headlights, which takes so much of my time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's I love that. I give you a lot of credit for your publishing your first book and doing all that, because people make it look so easy. And my route wasn't the same. I thought, okay, here's the thing. I'm not going to pay all this money to publish when I'm sure I can do it myself and save money. And boy, did I not save money. I
do not save money.
Yes, I definitely did not save money. I definitely spent way more than if I would have paid a professional. And that's when I realized, because you still have to learn it, right? Because you're in the
have to learn it.
Right? You're in the stick of it now. So I had to I finally got it done. I did really well with it, and I was like, okay, I'll bet you there's other people who probably need help with that process. And that was my story from way back in 2012 when I started publishing, because that's what it was, right?
And the self-publishing has gotten better and easier and wider. And for those who don't know, wide means the distribution, not through just one stream, but you can go Europe. And my book is, I actually got a notice, an email a couple months ago that said, by the way, Author in the Headlights is now rated as one of the top 12 podcasting issues in Denmark. I go, Denmark?
Yeah.
What's it doing in Denmark?
Right.
No idea. That is, to me, so strange, so weird. But this world is very unique. We work together, even though we fight each other all the way. I don't get it.
It's so global. I don't know. I can't remember. That's funny you say that. I remember the first time I started looking. I found a website where you could see where your book was inventoried at. And it was my retirement book, my first retirement book. And I remember going back and looking at it, and there were bookstores all over the place that had inventory of 27 books and things like that. They bought them this was before I knew about distribution, right? So they bought them on Amazon, and then they were selling them through there. And it's a fun experience. I love the zero quit mentality that you have, because I'm very much the same way, especially if you start it, right? So especially having accountability people in your life who are not sure what you're doing anyway. You got to at least make sure you try to do it right by the time it's done, because you don't want to.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right. And when something goes wrong, man, I feel it. It's like, oh man, I goofed up. I messed up. I could have done better. I should have done better. It's hard. It's not an easy task.
Yeah. What's one of your favorite things about the podcast? Can I ask, since you started?
I meet people I would never in my life have met, honestly, and big names. I know these big people by first name. I talk to Robert Dugani. I call him Bob.
I love it.
And I know him personally. And it is so fun to talk to people from around the world
Yeah.
and see they're all the same. We're all the same.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
And
I couldn't agree more. And it's so much, and to realize that there's not the huge difference. There's not this huge difference between the starting author point and the theme author point. And all our problems stay the same. It's just you sell more books,
it's
right?
true. Yep. You sell more books.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many of the authors that I find, the big authors I'm talking about,
Yeah.
they said you just can't quit because since I was speaking to Robert Dugani, he said he didn't take off until his seventh book. His seventh book then finally got some traction, and then that started people going back to his other books, and then he had to write more books to keep up, and now, gosh, I don't know how he's got 23 or 35, I don't know, huge. Of course, by the time I do the count, then, it's been another year and he's put out another book or two.
Yeah.
And Steve Berry, he had 85 no's from agents on his books before one published. Steve Berry, I have no idea how many millions of copies he sold.
Yeah.
Wow. It's just amazing. And so many of these, it's the same way. So it's not the first book.
Right.
Do not expect your first book to take off. It just, you have no name, no reason for people to pick up the book.
Yeah.
Unless it's just that story. And but it gives me heart to know that, okay, maybe there's a future. If I live that long, I'll keep writing.
I'm sure there definitely is. And I'm sure that your books are, it's funny you say that about that not giving up, because it really doesn't. You could have the best book and it still has to be picked up by the right person eventually.
It still has to be picked up. That's right.
And so, that's where I remember I was in a book with Jack Canfield in 2012 when I wrote my first book. And I remember him speaking, and he was just telling us a story about when he went to go get published for Chicken Soup for the Soul. And it's just, hearing that Jack Canfield went from it. And I love that I learned. I was so ignorant and naive every time I started in business, which has been a blessing to me so long. Starting in finance at 20, my mentor, he just made me listen, and I did. And because I didn't know anything, I just listened. So same thing when I was starting with publishing, because I didn't know, when Jack said this, I'm like, okay, great. And then, so I just never gave up. So that's it. I'm very fortunate that I didn't try to have bad habits because of knowing the best, knowing everything. Right. So
don't try to have bad habits. That's
yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I was fortunate enough that I didn't develop any bad habits either. So
there you go. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
I've had so many things in my life. I've done, I'm in my 70s, but I have had an active life. If I wanted to do it, I found a way to do it.
Yeah.
I've been a big game guide, a general contractor. I've owned, like I said, 12 businesses. I'm an author, a firefighter EMT for a career, 25 years. But I put all these things into been there reality. When I write, I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I know what it's like to watch someone die. I hate to say that, but it's true. I've been there.
Right.
I've been at accidents. I pulled people out of cars and out of burning buildings, and I put the fires out, and there is nothing more amazing than to lay on your back in a major structure fire with the hose in hand and roll up and watch the flames 12 feet deep. There's just roiling gases that are burning, and it is so amazing. You can't get up on your knees because your faceplate will melt. I've had that happen. That hot. But to lay there and take 2 seconds to look at that fire and go, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And then you have to put it out.
yeah, you got to get rid of it. But yeah.
But then to follow the energy of myself, anyway, to be able to do that and be able to track where that's coming from and know how to fight it and to do those things and to follow that, or deer, I could find a map and go down elk. I did mostly elk hunting, and say they're going to be right there because it fits this profile. It fits this picture, it fits the energy, it's got a north facing, it's in the shadow. I've done all that. I know what it takes. I've gone down rivers in canoes and kayaks all the way to the ocean, so when you've done all the mountain climbing, when you've done that, you know what it feels like. I sword fought for 30 years,
Oh my
sword and
gosh.
shield, armor carried, and so I know what it's like to get hit upside the head with a baseball bat, full strength from an adult male swinging it, and to take the blow and what that's like. I know what you can and can't do when you're sword fighting.
That's amazing.
When you've done all of those things, you can and put it down in paper. It makes for pretty good stories.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
goodness,
that's bragging, but it's also
there's so much
it's so
content
amazing to
inside
look
your
back and
head.
say, man, I can't believe I wrote that.
Yeah.
That's really pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, yeah, you have to get some inspiration from somewhere, and that's exactly, yeah. What any type of words of wisdom from all your businesses that you would give for, I would say both authors, any words of advice that you would like to give authors or podcasters or anybody out there from all that you've learned in business?
For authors, don't give up and don't stop learning. It takes both things. You've got to write something. It's not just it's not practice makes perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect. And while practice helps, if you're doing the same thing over and over and it doesn't get any better, maybe you need some more input so you know how to make it better. And that takes the perfect practice, right? So I do go to conferences. I do talk to people. I do talk to authors. And what are the questions I ask? What was the thing you found the hardest? Or was there some particular tool that helped you make this better?
Yeah.
And so I learned from every interview I do. That's my goal. And that's what I gain from it. I certainly don't gain monetarily, but I do gain those things. And I love sharing that too. So pass it on, right?
Right. And I love that answer too. I remember that. I love that answer because I remember the first time I batched interviewed for my first podcast, like 3 days in a row, just to get some content out there. And at the end of the day, I just felt like, oh my gosh, I've learned so much knowledge from so many different
Absolutely.
people. It was the biggest. I don't know I don't know how many years of knowledge you can compare it to, but all sorts of different things. And I was just in awe at the end of the day from a mental like download of what it was like. So I love that you say that.
We learn better by doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can learn from classes and people teaching us, telling us, but we learn best by doing.
How can they find you? How can they get a hold of you? And what's next?
Okay, well, Author in the Headlights is probably easiest to find on YouTube, Author in the Headlights, or Strider's Author in the Headlights. That's my name, Strider S.R. Klusman. Yeah, I have 4 names. I'm lucky that way. And that's my author tab, Strider S.R. Klusman. And a Strider like taking a big step.
Yeah.
Whether that's forward or backwards, it's motion.
That's awesome. That's great.
We also have German Publishing. That's me and my germanpublishing.com. And on there is the bookstore, Author in the Headlights bookstore, Author in the Headlights, the video podcast, and the author's resources for authors that need to find ways or answers on, say, covers or interior artwork or editing or all those things. That's there. And it's all free resources. They're there to help authors do their job because it's not an easy job. And the more I can help, the better they grow. So that's the best way.
And to everybody watching, I went and checked out Strider's website, and the resources are great. Your book covers are great. I mean, I'm a knack for those kind of things. Strider, you're doing an amazing job with those things, and I look forward to having you on future shows and us talking more. This is a double whammy win for me because we get to talk about being an author, publishing, and podcasting. So thank you very much for being on the show. I appreciate it. And I appreciate what you do for authors.
Thank you so much. I've enjoyed it. And all you out there, hey, have fun and write on, I guess.
Yes. Thank you very much. Until next time, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much. Bye, Dennis.
All right. That was amazing. That was So we have authors today's coming out too, so I'll have to get you on that. That we'll get some. I'll get you some things on there, and love to get some more content from you and share whatever I can. But
Okay. Well, whatever you got, I'll take a look at.
absolutely, I'd love to get you on there.
Not sure
email
how
you.
it's all used, and like I said, I don't know a lot past what I do, but I'm willing to look. How's that?
I will be glad to help any way that I can. I think your mission is great, Strider. And what you're doing for other authors. It's literally the same purpose of what I have for this show, and it's just expanding. We do it for other genres and whatnot. So it's very cool that what you're doing. And I would love to do a trailer for you to see. I would love to bring Luna to light and just see how close I am with the characters and whatnot, and see. So
All right.
if
I'm
you
willing
let
to
me do
try
it
that.
for you, yeah, I would love to do it for you, just to put it up, put it on the website, and see what you like it, and see if you like it. So,
Okay.
all
Thank
right.
you, Dennis. I really appreciate all this.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It was very nice to meet you, Strider. I
Mhm.
appreciate it. We'll get you all sorts of content for Facebook and whatnot, and we'll show you where the show is aired and everything else.
Okay. Well, like I
All right.
say, until
Thank you.
next time.
All right. See you later. Bye.
Bye. See if I can get out of this.